School Auditorium, 81 Commonwealth Avenue, West Mifflin, PA 15122. Opening exercises. Our meeting begins at 7 p.m. Opening exercises, pledge the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Esper, roll call.
Aher.
Here.
DeCenzo.
Here.
Donahoe.
Here.
Engler.
Here.
Mattis.
Here.
Squires.
Here.
Uhas.
Here.
Kostelnik.
Here.
Blazevich.
Here. 2 presentations. Dr. Solomon.
Thank you, Mr. President. This evening, we have 3 presentations. The first one is going to be by Mr. Vines. He's going to give us an update on Milo.
Good evening. Brendan Vines, and I teach 4th and 5th grade life skills at the middle school, as well as our gifted support at our elementary and middle school buildings. Tonight I'm here to talk to you about our new addition to our special ed department, our interactive robots. Many of you know Milo. They have been used in our life skills and autistic support classrooms at our elementary and our middle school buildings. We have had these robots with us since the fall. We have, as special ed teachers with these robots, have put in many hours of professional development and training through the RoboKind company. Besides the teachers that have worked with these robots, we've also had trainings for our computer technicians. Surprisingly, these robots are very complex machines. They have a lot of computers and software with them, so they have the training to help us as well. And also our related services, like our occupational therapists, our speech therapists, physical therapists that work with some of our students with special needs. They have the training as well too to use these robots that have been a great addition to our programs. Currently, as you can see on the screen, we have 5 different robots in our district. We have Mrs. Calagiris and Mrs. Galata are using them at Homebuilt in their classrooms. They each have one. Mrs. Reynolds has a robot at Claire Barton. Myself, I have one for 4th and 5th grade at the middle school, and Mrs. Ruffing has one here at the middle school for our 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students in life skills. They do come in 4 different models. So you can see the different pictures there. Milo was the original, and as the years have gone on, they developed some other models. With me tonight, I have Carver. There's also Jemmy and Veda. It helps some of the different students identify with the robots as well, because they can see some of the same features that they have as well. It is recommended from RoboKind that we use these approximately 60 minutes per week with our students in a variety of lessons. There are, with the RoboKind website, there's a whole entire curriculum, over 400 pages of lessons and activities that we can use. They recommend about 60 minutes per week. We break that down into smaller lessons. I'll show you some examples of some individual lessons that we use with just 1 or 2 students, as well as some larger group presentations and activities as well. There are a few different ways that we can use the robots with the students. It is very technological and computer-based. We can, what's nice this year that we found, the students have their own laptops. So they can connect to the robot through the website on their own device as well as the teacher device. We can also use tablets. We can go laptop to laptop, or we could also use our smart board. Some of us that have the robots also have smart boards in our classroom as well too. So there's lots of different options. It provides a lot of different flexibility for some different settings as well with the students. Like I mentioned, a lot of the lessons are interactive on the laptops, through the robot, through the tablets, on the board, but also they provide us with printed materials as well too. That's nice because we can send some of those things home with the students so that the parents and the families can work on some of the skills that we're working on in the class for some of those students with those deficiencies. The biggest focus, or the biggest area that the program focuses on, is the social and the emotional needs of our special needs students. For example, one of the ways that we can use the robots is through individual lessons. So in this quick little video here, this is one of our students.
Ready? I can move my arms. Whoa. You do it too.
So that was a follow the leader activity. Following directions is another skill that we try to work on. Believe it or not, this robot, their eyes are cameras, and on their chest is a little video screen. So it can mirror what the student, what it's seeing with the student. So for example, if they're working on, what does it look like if somebody is upset, or what does it look like if somebody is happy? The robot's faces will change to the different emotions, and then can also mirror back the students' faces, and they can demonstrate those different emotions as well too. So, so again, it's a very complex machine. So we use it with individual students, and we also use it with a large group. If I could get to the next one. For a small group. Yeah, sorry.
Don't worry, Mr. Vines, everybody up here hates technology too.
Yeah, it's playing here. It's just, I was 1 for 1. Now I guess I'll be 1 for 2. In this video that was playing, it's a small group working with our students on conversation skills. So it goes back and forth between the robot. The students are looking at their laptops. They're also being shown a video of appropriate socialization or appropriate conversation skills. It'll say something like, this person asked the question, and it'll stop, and then we'll demonstrate asking the question. And then it'll say, that person gave a response, and then we'll practice giving a response. So it gives the students that interaction, not only just hearing it, but also seeing it as well too. So I guess we'll give up on that one. Actually. There we go. Okay.
Hi. It's good to see you again. I'm glad you're back. Today, we are going to talk more about conversations between two people.
And finally, another way we can do it, if we find that some students need something specific, we can use our tablets, if we have them, with the picture that's on the screen is the same control that I have on my iPad, where I can now directly control it. So if I wanted to show a sad face, his face would turn sad just by clicking a button. If I wanted, what do we do in class when we know the answer? If we wanted to raise our hand, I can make it raise its hand. Or
How do you?
this whole entire board is programmable to the specific feature or the student's needs. If I wanted to give a fist bump for a good answer, I give them a fist bump. Or if I wanted to play a game, there's different stuff.
Rachel.
And then what the kids always like is I can type something directly in here and it will say whatever I type. So that I always have a good kick out of that.
Can you make some of my words?
And then I can type in a specific kid's name if I wanted to give a name. And then their favorite is always do the dance, doing the floss. So there's lots of different ways that we can use it with the kids. And then finally, from the teacher perspective, from a special ed teacher's perspective, a case manager with our IEPs, one of the latest updates that RoboKind has provided us with in the past few weeks is the ability to develop IEP goals from their curriculum and lessons that go along with that, with the robot. So now we're able to do some activities where we can collect data with the students. We can provide them, not only the teachers, but also the parents with some reports on minutes of usage or progress that they're making on specific goals and specific activities or skills. And so that has been a very helpful tool, especially from the teacher perspective, to be able to provide that to the parents as well. So we really like that. There are plenty of more demonstrations and videos available online. I gave you all an example of a lesson in your packet, but there's also videos on YouTube and throughout the internet as well too. If you would like to see some more of it in action. If you have any questions, I'd love to answer them.
I just have one question. Is the 60 minutes the same for all grade levels? Like the high school, everybody would use 60 minutes?
So right now we have robots in our elementary and our middle school buildings. The 60 minutes is just a recommendation.
Okay.
The average lesson,
Groups.
I'm sorry.
Same recommendation for all those
Yes.
groups? Okay.
Yes. The average lesson ranges from 3 to 5 minutes all the way up to 15 minutes, depending on it. So typically we'll do like every other day or maybe just on Fridays or, as the week goes. But it's usually never the whole 60 minutes all at
All
once.
at once, okay.
Yeah.
Do you find that this is something that fits in with what you're going over anyway, or is it a specialized, like a Milo lesson for the week? Or does that vary teacher to teacher?
It depends. I know for my students, I use it as a reward. They like to, they see it, they see him, I'm saying him, they see him in my classroom all the time, and they're always asking to use it. So they're very excited. I'm talking with the other teachers at the other buildings too. The students are always asking, when can we do it? When can we do it? So getting them excited for that, but also using that as a way, okay, let's do this first, and then we'll do a lesson with Milo or Carter or Beta is Mrs. Ruffing's robot as well too. So, and a lot of that is aligned with what we're doing in class as well. So it's a good supplement to the everyday curriculum that we're using.
Mr. Vines, you answered all my questions, but I just want to say thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Have a good night.
Thank you, Mr. Vines. Our second presentation for this evening is by our student board representatives in their monthly report.
Hi, we gave you a copy of the minutes from the Interclub Council meeting yesterday, so we're just gonna hit a couple of the highlights for the meeting. We're gonna start off with semi. That'll be found in the senior class section of the minutes.
Well, seminar we held on February 11th, it's on the Gateway Clipper. Tickets are being sold currently. For TLC, we donated over 8,000 pounds of food. I believe we set a new record. So everyone's happy about that. And the junior class is discussing prom theme.
Yep, and also the senior class will be voting on the prom theme throughout this week. It's due Friday, so we'll probably find out in the next couple of weeks what our prom theme is going to be. The larger things that we worked on, we talked about the Student Council Region B conference that's coming up in March. Once again, that's a conference that's focused on fostering leadership skills, especially in our post-pandemic, well, still pandemic lives. And we selected a guest speaker. Lamar Womble is going to be coming. His focus in his speeches is how to find your passions as leaders and how to use that to be better student leaders and better people in your community. We're also currently accepting workshops for it, which is just student-led workshops to talk about leadership, different life skills, mental health, all sorts of things like that. And then the other big thing that we talked about was Student Council's hosting a game show night. That'll be Friday, February 4th. There's gonna be 4 different game shows. It'll be Jeopardy, Family Feud, don't forget the lyrics, and Minute to Win It. So that'll be coming up. Tickets will be sold that day, and we encourage everyone to come out and see it.
Are there any questions?
I don't have a question, but I just want to say this is really great. This really gives us an idea of, what you guys are involved in and the student body is up to. So this is really nice to see.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. We just wanted to keep it nice first week and all papers for everyone to see.
And thank you for the handout.
Yes, very much.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I have one. It's not much, it's more of a recognition. The one gentleman down there, the young man is Jameer Hill. I have the honor of coaching Jameer. Last year, he's what you would call the student athlete that you want every kid at our school to be. He's a great student. He's a great football player and a great leader. Coach, or our athletic director, Scott Stevens, and I were actually having a conversation last night. We were talking, and I said, if you took Jameer Hill and probably Andre, they were going to be co-MVPs of our team, just because the seniors and leadership, the type of young men they are, they have great futures, and this is as a community. Very proud to have a kid represent West Mifflin High School in this opportunity piece. And I just want to give some recognition to Mayor because it's well deserved.
Thank you.
And not to harp on it, but Cassie, I believe you deserve a little recognition as well. Do you want to tell the board about your future endeavors?
Thank you. I actually received a full ride to Wesleyan University in Middletown, Connecticut. I'm going to double major in both environmental studies and government, and I plan to move on to law school, and I want to practice environmental law, but very excited. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Both of you, thank you so much. You're excellent.
Our third is the School Director Recognition Month. January is School Director Recognition Month. We'd like to thank these elected school directors for the time, dedication, and effort they give year-round to do what is necessary to ensure our schools remain a pathway to a promising future and for making the success of our children their priority. Thank you. That concludes the presentations, Mr. President.
Thank you, Dr. Solomon. 3, addendum items.
Yes, Mr. President, we have one addendum for tonight's agenda. It will fall under item 8, purchasing and contracting. Under letter A, number 5, an agreement with Epic Communications for E-rate services for year 25 for the 22-23 school year at the cost of 10% of the total amount spent on approved E-rate services. That's the only addendum.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. DeCenzo,
Second.
second by Mr. Squires. Questions or comments? Roll call?
Ahern,
Yes.
DeCenzo,
Yes.
Donahoe,
Yes.
Engler,
Yes.
Mattis,
Yes.
Squires,
Yes.
Uhas,
Yes.
Castelnick,
Yes.
Blazevich.
Yes. Number 4, hearing the citizens. In order to speak at this time, the following must be met. Must be a West Mifflin, Whitaker, or Duquesne resident. Matter must have been discussed through the proper education channels. Direct comments to the board president and/or superintendent. Remarks are limited to 3 minutes per person. I also do want to just add a precursor to this. I don't know if folks know, we talked about this in the working session. We're moving to a more electronic version of our agenda and in an attempt to publish information earlier versus right before the board meetings meet. So we're in a transitional phase, I would say, with this, as far as getting things online and printed out and available outside here in the hallway. So I would say be patient with us as we work through this process and as we work it out amongst ourselves too, as to how we want to operate going forward. But it's really in an attempt to utilize less paper and be more timely in our communications of artifacts for the board meetings. So.
I believe Mr. Coker is going to put that up on the screen for us as we work through the agenda.
Diane Stanesik.
Diane Smith, 2803 Glenning Lane Extension. I agree with the voting on Act 1. Under purchasing and contracting, item 3, do we still have a year left on our contract, or does it end on June 30? Under tax collection report, the business privilege tax, are these the ones that are always paid, or are we following up on a review from non-payments? It was brought up several meetings ago, and Mr. Mattis said they were going to look into it. The current status of Emerson, will we be closing on that, or is there a delay for some reason? Because the sign still has for sale, and just wondering on that. The other thing is under, on these legal tax service bills, like the bank fees, filing fees, service charges. I mean, why are we paying the postage for them? Their bank fees, I don't know if that was in the existing contract, but, they're getting a commission and they should be using their own funds for postage and so forth. The other thing is, I did watch the work session and the discussion on the YouTube video that's concurrent as the meeting is going on. I know I appreciate it because when you're in this venue and you're using the Zoom meeting, you really can't hear any of you folks whatsoever. And I think that is an excellent service. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't think there's really any legal issues, that it can't be done on a permanent basis. People appreciate that. And like I said, when you're listening to it in the auditorium here, you can't hear any of the board members and what they're saying. And it's kind of disheartening. The one thing
during that discussion, no offense personally, Mr. Blazevich, but I didn't like your comment to Mr. Squires, asking him if he was recreating his old job. That really wasn't necessary. I don't know if you meant it sarcastically, but as a representative of the district, you should not be saying disparaging things like that. It could have been a joke, I don't know, but I don't think it was appropriate. And as far as the health plan, I think given the situation, I don't normally watch the 4 or 5 o'clock news because it's so depressing with all the shootings and stuff. But the first 10 minutes of the 4 o'clock news was all of the districts complaining and bickering about wearing the masks. Every one of the districts that was complaining about it has had to shut down and do remote. Unlike West Mifflin, because they're following the protocol correctly, and we've not had to shut down. Unless I'm aware that I missed it or something, but because we're following these guidelines, and they should still stay in place until the numbers drastically go down. I'm speaking from a medical perspective that, you don't think that the person next to you could be a carrier, and it's better safe than sorry. And if my 9-year-old autistic nephew can manage to keep a mask on, so could everybody else.
Thank you, Mrs. Domestic. 6, Board of Directors.
Thank you, Mr. President. I respectfully request a motion, second, and approval on the following items. Items A through E on pages 3 and 4. Those were all discussed at the work session last week. The Finance Committee did meet this week, and they are okay with having the Act 1 resolution on the agenda.
Joe, just so I'm clear, so we're talking about A, the executive session, discuss
Yes.
personnel legal issue, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, right?
Yep, the policy, we went all over that at the work session last week.
Approval of the
Right
minutes.
clear with item B.
So we're talking about all of them. I just
Yes,
want to make
all.
sure that
Yes,
I'm
all.
very clear
Yes,
as
we
to
were
exactly
voting.
what
Yes, we were
we're making a
voting on
motion
all
to
things.
move. So executive session, approval of minutes, policy updates, first reading, Steel Center representatives, and E resolution 2022-01 Act 1.
Correct.
Okay,
Motion.
do I have a motion? Motion by Mr. DeCenzo,
Second.
second by Mr. Mattis. Are there questions or comments? Roll call.
Ahern.
Yes.
DeCenzo.
Yes.
Donahoe.
Yes.
Engler.
Yes.
Mattis.
Yes.
Squires.
Yes.
Uhas.
Yes.
Astounding.
Yes.
Blazevich.
Yes.
7, Finance. Letter A, numbers 1 through 3 on page 4, and those were all discussed last week.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Mattis,
Second.
second by Mr. Donahue. Questions or comments? Roll call.
Ahern.
Yes.
DeCenzo.
Yes.
Donahoe.
Yes.
Engler.
Yes.
Mattis.
Yes.
Squires.
Yes.
Uhas.
Yeah.
Astounding.
Yes.
Blazevich.
Yes.
8, Purchasing and Contracting, numbers 1 through 5, which would include the addendum on page 5. I don't have numbers on mine.
Do I have a motion?
Number 4 is new.
I'm sorry.
Tricia, did you want to just talk briefly about number 4?
Yeah, we discussed that in executive session on the litigation.
Okay.
Do I have a motion?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Donahue, second by Mr. DeCenzo. Any questions or comments on 8, Purchasing and Contracting? Roll call.
Ahern,
Yes.
DeSenza.
Yes.
Donahoe.
Yes.
Engler.
Yes.
Mattis.
Yes.
Squires.
Yes.
Uhas.
Yes.
Astounding.
Yes.
Blazevich.
Yes. 9, financial reports.
These are numbers 1 through 10 on pages 5 through 7.
Motion.
Do I have a motion? Motion by Mr. DeSenza,
Second.
second by Mr. Donahue. Are there any questions or comments?
I can address Mrs. Nenasek's question. The business privilege tax that she talked about, those are delinquent, those are not current taxes. The fees are part of the existing contract. I skipped over your item 3 about Nutrition Inc. So I'll just touch on that. We are in the 4th year of a 4-year agreement, so it does end on June 30th. And the closing of Emerson is scheduled for February 28th, 22. It was postponed because the borough has to take action, I believe zoning action or conditional use action.
There is a court hearing, it is on Monday at 11:30 or 11:45 sometime for the court approval to sell. The property is posted and that was advertised.
Do I have a motion on number 9, for number 9? Yeah. Roll call.
Ahern,
Yes.
DeSenza.
Yes.
Donahoe.
Yes.
Engler.
Yes.
Mattis.
Yes.
Squires.
Yes.
Uhas.
Yes.
Astounding.
Yes.
And Blazevich.
Yes.
Number 10, invoices, bills payable, and requisitions. Numbers 1 through 3 on page 8.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Donahue,
Second.
second by Mr. Uhas. Questions or comments?
Item H was added since the work session, and that's for the installment payments for Whitaker. First, second, and third.
Any questions? Roll call.
Ahern,
Yes.
DeSenza.
Yes.
Donahoe.
Yes.
Engler.
Yes.
Mattis.
Yes.
Squires.
Yes.
Uhas.
Yes.
Astounding.
Yes.
And Blazevich.
Yes.
Mr. President, that concludes my report.
Thank you. 11, district operations, Mr. Solz.
Yes, under district operations. Number 11. A, student activities as proposed, student fundraising as proposed, village and grounds permit for January 20th as proposed, and conferences as proposed.
Do I have a motion?
Yeah.
You guys have something there. Number 11.
Oh, I'm sorry, I clicked on the wrong one. My apologies. District operations, Mr. President, 1 through 3, proposal for honors diploma, emergency instructional time for the 21-22 school year, and the MOU with the West Middlefield Federation of Teachers.
Now do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mrs. Engler,
Second.
second by Mrs. Ahern. Questions or comments?
Yeah, on the proposal for the honors diploma, I didn't see one attached. Was there one given?
That was the presentation Ms. Shields gave last week.
Right, so we are going forward with waiving the requirement for Keystone testing and upping the GPA. Is that what the?
All the recommendations that were given by the board at that time will be in the new draft.
Perfect, and that is just, that will just be a one-year wait, not a
We
permanent.
can always revisit that as the board asks, yes.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions? Roll call.
Ahern,
Yes.
DeSenza.
Yes.
Donahoe.
Yes.
Engler.
Yes.
Mattis.
Yes.
Squires.
Yes.
Uhas.
Yes.
Astounding.
Yes.
And Blazevich.
Yes. 12, superintendent's report.
Under number 12, superintendent report, Mr. President, we have A, we have items 1 through 6, student services for supplemental special education due process complaint, student activities as attached, student fundraising as attached, village and grounds, permit usage, conferences, and the homeschool visitors report as presented.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Mattis,
Second.
second by Mrs. Ahern. Questions or comments? Roll call?
Ahern,
Yes.
DeSenzo,
Yes.
Donahoe,
Yes.
Engler,
Yes.
Mattis,
Yes.
Squires,
Yes.
Uhas,
Yes.
Pistonik,
Yes.
Blazevich.
Yes. 13 personnel.
On personnel, Mr. President, we have 4 items: the professional personnel, non-certified personnel, athletic personnel, and substitute personnel. Under professional, we have items A through E as presented.
Do I have a motion? Or
Under non-certified, we have A through C as presented. Athletic personnel, we have A through C as presented. We have 1 substitute.
do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Mattis,
Second.
second by Mr. DeSenzo. Any questions or comments? Roll call?
Ahern,
Yes.
DeSenzo,
Yes.
Donahoe,
Yes.
Engler,
No to professional personnel, E4, and no to non-certified, C2. I apologize.
okay. Mattis,
Yes.
Squires,
Yes.
Uhas,
Yes.
Pistonik,
No, under non-certified personnel, no to C2. Rest is yes.
and Blazevich.
Yes.
And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Fuller. 14 board presidents' correspondence, there are none. 15 executive session discussion. Personnel and legal matters were discussed in executive session. 16 board reports. Many of the committee reports were given last week during our working session. Any committee chairs want to give any additional information here at this time? Okay. Steel Center report?
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Kevin Rice will be here on February the 17th to do a renovation presentation that'll be in front of the board. Steel Center is looking for a home for items that have been declared obsolete or surplus. They want you to check out their online auction site, and that ends at 7 p.m. on January 24th, and that is hostetterauctions.com, HOSTETTER. And on November 18th, they held the Challenge Program at Steel Center. The Challenge Program provides an opportunity for all students to be rewarded for hard work and dedication. Winners received a $200 check provided by this year's corporate sponsors, number 1, Cochrane Automotive and Bank of America. The 5 categories were attendance, STEM, community service, academic improvement, academic excellence. Our winners from West Mifflin were, for attendance was Hunter McCombs in welding. Academic improvement was Daniel Escap in automotive technology. Community service was William Havasta in HVAC-R. And our Students of the Month awards for November 2021 were Zane Bersetti for automotive technology, Tyler Dabrin, baking and pastry arts, McKeel Poindexter, health assistant, Tawny White, welding. That so ends my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Spelnick. 17 solicitors report.
Thank you, Mr. President. My report was given in executive session.
Thank you, Mr. Massio. 18, old business. I guess I have just a quick item. Mrs. Vanessa, the videos, I believe, the YouTube videos we're looking to, or the videos of these meetings, I believe we're going to be able to
at least at first upload them after the fact. And I think we're gonna look into being able to do them live. It's just making sure that we have that attended, so somebody's managing it. But I do believe that our administration is working on uploading these videos after the fact just to get started. And, I appreciate you calling me out on my comment to Mr. Squires. You're absolutely right. That was unprofessional. So I take that to heart. I appreciate that. Thank you.
And just to clarify, I didn't take that as jovial, so there was no ill will or hard feelings taken at all by that.
Any other old business? New business? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Motion by Mrs. Costello.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Aher.